remember this one time where basically I was sitting at this table and I was eating with a bunch of these guys who were friends, and one of them said, "Oi, you've got all that riz, don't you?" So he was taking the fucking piss out of me. He said, "Oh, why don't you go talk to those two girls?" So me, being the egotistical cunt that I am, I walked over there and I started talking to them for like 5-10 minutes. And one of these girls, right? Well, at first I was really nervous to speak to them, but I kind of got in the flow of it. I told them have a good day. I walked back, sat down. But one of these girls did something a little while later. Because I remember like, oh shit, thinking it went really well, Both of them, like I had a great conversation with them. The next day they tried speaking to me at, I can't quite remember. I think we were getting vaccinations and we were sitting down and I was sitting right next to them. So they were like, "Oh yeah, well, how's your day?" Or they said some shit like that. And I remember all I did was message this girl. I was just like, "Hey, how are you going?" Or something really light. Like, "Oh yeah, hey, what were you trying to say earlier in like the lunch queue?" Or some shit like that. And as this conversation went on, I think I was just being a little cringe, like saying some weird shit. Maybe it wasn't even that big of a deal in hindsight. But right then, it was a really big deal to me because this girl who I was way more attractive than her, she's fucking ugly, right? Really ugly girl. And all I had done was, I was being me. I like to be friendly and speak to everybody. But she screenshotted my messages in a way where it made it look like I was trying to go out with her or something. And she sent it to every single bloke in the year pretty much, or like half the blokes in the year. And so from that moment when I got shown the screenshot, everybody was taking the fucking piss out of me, first of all. And second of all, I was really embarrassed because I thought I was above that. And it proved this whole thing that this one guy was trying to make, that I had no game, that I'm weird and shit. And it gave him like this evidence and he just kept rubbing it in. So I felt like absolutely terrible for quite a while. It was at least a day where I was just constantly thinking about it, really like stressed in this weird mood. And the only peace that I had from this was when I was like asleep, when I was dreaming. That was the only break I had from how shit the reality I was living in. That wasn't just because of the girl, but that was like really something that bothered me because it really dug on my insecurity back then, that nobody really liked me. And I remember there was a similar situation like this where something was bothering me this one day, or I was just in a really like stressed out mood. And I recall what I did on this day was I went to the beach, I turned off my phone, I left it at home for the whole day. I went to the beach with enough money for a taxi home, and I remember just lying there for hours thinking. I went to go box later in the day, and only then, when I like turned off my phone, I'd gotten away from all this shit, I felt a strong peace inside of me. I finally felt like I was all good, like that it didn't really matter. And that's when I realized like, oh shit, whenever something like this comes up in your life and you start overthinking something way too much, you can always just turn off your phone and go out, get out of that like environment, get out of the distraction zone. I know at school it's pretty hard, and it was definitely very hard for me because I was in a boarding school. But now that I think about it, I could have gone for a long walk. I could have gone for a journal. I could have turned off my phone for a while. This is the advice that I really wanted to give because I remember this thing only started bothering me less so I found out about it at 8 p.m. on one night. I felt stressed about it the entirety of the next day. And then that next day at night, I went to box, and after that, I remember feeling good. And after I'd boxed, it's like all the problems had just dissolved, like I'd finally gotten over it. And that specifically is what helped me feel so much better and stop overthinking. There's always these times where I wake up and I check my Instagram first thing in the morning. Usually when I check my Instagram first thing in the morning, what happens... Sorry, one second. I need to do this software update. Excuse me, mate. I'll just edit that one out, hopefully. But what I was saying is, there's these mornings where when I've woken up and I've checked Instagram first thing in the morning, for the rest of the day, these intrusive thoughts come in. I feel less productive. I get tired doing whatever I want to do. And I noticed that that's just simply because maybe I shouldn't be on Instagram first thing in the morning. Whenever I woke up first thing in the morning checking messages and I saw a message about something that was slightly bothering me, that whole day, that thing that was slightly bothering me would be on my mind. And I know that you're not going to delete Instagram, but I want to give you the solution that, many people haven't told you. Right now, I use browser Instagram because, first of all, you can't scroll reels. It's just shit. It just fucking takes forever to load and stuff. But second of all, usually, like right now, I have browser Instagram, so I'm still looking at stories. I'm still looking at people's posts, which is not ideal. But usually, I have this thing called hashtag block it, and it costs me, I think, $4 a year. And basically, what it does is it turns off reels, it turns off stories, it turns off feed completely. So all that I can do is check my messages, because think about it, there's so many people, like the main reason people get tempted to use Instagram is because they're going to get messages. And I realized, that's the main, I always re-download Instagram right before I'm going to go out on a night out or something, because I know, oh, this girl might ask me for my Insta or something along those lines. So I always need to have my Instagram ready. But then when I download it, I always end up scrolling reels. I always waste hours and hours and fall in a rabbit hole, like extremely quickly. I don't know if that's just me with an addiction problem, but I feel like every person, like if you have Instagram reels, you just will scroll minimum 30 minutes a day. That's minimum 30 minutes a day wasted, and also reducing the quality of your life during the other parts of the day because you're less satisfied with your life because your attention span's cooked. Anyways, mini rant, right? And this hashtag block it thing allowed me to search up people's names, to, message people whenever I wanted. And this really helped me personally. I'm not sponsored, so if you want, you can go check it out. My friend and I put him onto this, and he said like his attention span's been so much better since he got it. So yeah, hopefully it helps. I remember this other time, right? This was after a 3-day festival. And I remember sitting down on this little, so basically in Hong Kong, there's this ferry area, and this ferry takes somebody to this like other part of the island. And my friend she lives there. So I was with a bunch of my mates, and we were sitting, and I remember on this walk we were walking over a ferry, and on this walk, I remember just sitting there and just chilling. On this walk, before we sat down, started just sitting down. Fuck! Keep fucking fumbling my words. This whole walk, my mind was blank. I was exhausted. All of us were exhausted. And we just walked quietly. I don't think any of us said anything unless we were responding to someone else. We'd all lost our voices. We'd all lost our hearing. And it was one of these times where I noticed, you actually don't need to say anything, especially if you're friends with somebody. You can kind of just chill out for a couple, maybe even 5 minutes, I think. I think we didn't speak for about half an hour. We were just, okay, that's a bit of a stretch. 15 minutes to half an hour, we were really quiet, not speaking a lot. And we only started speaking more when somebody wanted to ask a question, and we would respond to that. But I noticed for the first time that you don't actually need to be speaking the whole conversation. I remember this period of 3 weeks where I was meditating up to 20 minutes a day. And when I was doing that, on the days where I wasn't at school, I had way more mental clarity. I think I didn't overthink at all when it was the weekends, but I remember something really distinct about the weekdays. Even though I was meditating this much more, I still was overthinking a lot, but I think this was to do with me not going out at all for so long, not being that social, because usually in my environment, when I stay there too long, then I start to overthink, regardless of if I've been meditating or not. But meditation definitely helps significantly, especially when you're not in that area, because it helps you to realize when you're overthinking and to just stop it. I remember this time I was with my boy. He's one of my best friends, and we were just goofing around. I swear to God, whenever I'm with him, the last time I was with him, I said bye to him. He managed to come say hi to me on my night out for 15 minutes. And as soon as he got there, we were just being loud as shit. like going and speaking to a bunch of people, having a great time instantly as soon as he'd gone there. And that moment, it helped me like relax a bit, you know? As soon as he was there, I got out of my head even more. I started speaking to people even more. And it really boosted me. It gave me like that social confidence that I needed to just, oh, I mean, I already had it, but it just gave me that huge boost. And I remember ending up having a really good night afterwards. Yeah, that's really all I have to say. Thanks for watching, bro. I hope some of this advice helps you.